Chapter 41 The Sect Assessment ends. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As for the second assessment, it seemed pretty pointless at this stage. Jiang Chen and the others weren't even planning on participating. Thump, *one after another, people were getting tossed out of the formation, their auras completely messed up. Blood trickled from the corners of their mouths. They'd clearly failed the stress resistance test. As time ticked by, the field thinned out. Only 2/3 of the time had passed, and half the contestants were already eliminated. Puff, thought the immense pressure was taking its toll. Many contestants coughed up blood, but they stubbornly held on. Giving up now would make all their previous effort for nothing. They couldn't face that *buzz*. As the incense stick burned down to its last bit, Du Qingfeng swiftly deactivated the array. With the pressure gone, the remaining group visibly relaxed, many collapsing to the ground, gasping for air. Still, some remained calm, seemingly unaffected. Seeing this, Du Qingfeng announced, anyone who showed exceptional performance in the second round can become an outer disciple of the Luoyun sect. Those who sustained injuries exceeding 30% can become a handyman disciple. Xuanhuan stepped forward, matching the offer. The same goes for our Xianqing sect. The choice of which sect to join is yours. Having secured the Jiang brothers, Xuanhuan felt he had already won. He wasn't too concerned about recruiting more disciples at this point. As expected, most chose the Luoyun sect, but quite a few opted for Xianqing sect. They were realistic about their abilities and knew passing the rigorous tests at Luoyun sect wouldn't be a walk in the park. Xianqing sect became a viable option. Even though its overall strength had diminished, it was still an established sect with opportunities. Xuanhuan gazed at the somewhat battered group of new disciples before him, then produced a generous supply of healing elixirs, handing them out. "I'll give you 3 days to head home and say your goodbyes," he said. "Meet back here in 3 days, and I'll take you to Xianqing sect." "Thank you, Elder." They replied in unison, excitement lighting up their faces. They quickly bid farewell to Xuanhuan and hurried out of the square. The scene was similar over at the Luoyun sect. Xiao and his companions watched the departing hopefuls with dark expressions, their eyes occasionally darting towards Jiang Chen and his family. They noticed Feng Haotian had popped over to the Jiangs, chatting and laughing with Jiang Wenkang and the others like they were old buddies. This didn't sit well with Xiao Lingshan and Bai Zhantong, casting a gloomy shadow over their faces. Yun Qianxiu looked equally displeased. After exchanging glances, they led their group towards the Luoyun sect. Of course, before leaving, Du Qingfeng made sure to chat with the old man in black. After all, the guy had Prince Gu Tianxiong backing him. Feng Haotian, the city lord, wasn't important enough to worry about. As an elder of the Luoyun sect, he didn't need to take a small city lord seriously. Seeing the Luoyun sect leave, Xuanhuan shifted his attention to Jiang Chen and the others. "I'll be staying at the Xinqing Inn for the next 3 days," he said softly. "If you need anything, don't hesitate to come find me." Jiang Chen instantly understood. Xuanhuan was making it clear, if anyone dared to bother the Jiangs, they could come to him for help. "Thank you, Elder Chen." Jiang Chen responded promptly. Xuanhuan's face beamed with satisfaction at Jiang Chen's quick uptake, and he chuckled. "Ha, no need to be formal. As disciples of Xianqing sect, your family's safety is my responsibility. Alright, it's getting late. I'll take these youngsters to get some rest. You should head back too." He turned to Gu Xiyao. "Princess Xiyao, would you like to come with me now, or meet us back in 3 days?" Given that Kamikaze City was far from Prince Gu's territory, it wasn't practical for her to travel back. Gu Xiyao replied, "No need, I have a few things to take care of. I'll join you in 3 days." With her answer, Xuanhuan approached the old man in black for a brief conversation. He then said goodbye to Jiang Wenkang and his family. With a final glance around, Xuanhuan gathered his newly recruited disciples and headed towards the Xianqing Inn. Jiang Chen turned to Jiang Yu and the others. "Let's go, let's head back too." Jiang Yu nodded as they turned to leave. Hey, are you guys blind? Can't you see I'm standing here? Xiyao called out to Jiang Chen and the others, a hint of annoyance in her voice. A beautiful woman like her was being completely ignored. Huh? Hearing Xiao's sudden outburst, Jiang Chen and the other two turned to look at her. Jiang Yu and Jiang Daoxin kept silent, watching Jiang Chen and Xiao, recalling that Princess Xiyao had singled out Jiang Chen when she first arrived. There must be something going on between them. Jiang Chen looked at Xiao and asked, Princess Xiyao, is there something you need? Seeing Jiang Chen's puzzled expression, Xiao felt a surge of anger and struggled to contain it. She took a deep breath. Have you never heard of me? Jiang Chen replied, never. But someone in the crowd mentioned that you're Prince Gu Tianxiong's daughter. Hearing Jiang Chen's answer, Xiao was speechless, feeling a strange sense of helplessness. Tap, 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 star, footsteps approached from behind. Jiang Wenqing and the others hurried over. Seeing his son's confused expression, Jiang Wenqing quickly understood the situation and rushed to intervene. Without hesitation, he stepped between them. Princess Xiyao, if you have something to discuss, please come back to the Jiang residence. Chener doesn't know anything about such matters. Xiao was slightly taken aback, but then nodded. All right, and so, the group made their way back to the Jiang residence. Chapter 42 The Secret of the Past, Fiancée. You are listening at novelfull.audio. City Lord Feng Haotian didn't leave. He tagged along with Jiang Wenkong and the others back to the Jiang family. Meanwhile, the news of the Jiang family's dominance in the assessment spread like wildfire through Kamikaze City. It caused an immediate uproar. Seriously? You're not pulling my leg, are you? The Jiang family swept the top 3 spots in the whole assessment. Why would I lie? The news is all over Kamikaze City. Tons of people saw it with their own eyes. You think that's something you can fake? Yeah, but what's really crazy is that Jiang Chen, not Jiang Yu, was the top dog. He hit 40,000 kilograms. That's insane. On the street, Jiang Wenkong led the way with Feng Haotian and the others. Xiao glanced at Jiang Chen, then went to whisper to the old man in black. Taking the chance, Jiang Chen hurried over to his father, Jiang Wenqing. He asked quietly, Dad, what's the deal with Princess Xiyao? Do you have some history with her father? Jiang Wenqing was silent for a moment, then he said softly, it all goes back over a decade. Back then, Gu Tianxiong wasn't the big shot he is today. Then Jiang Wenqing told him the story. Turns out, during a rebellion, Gu Tianxiong was ambushed by the enemy and seriously injured. Even so, he managed to fight his way out of the encirclement with Princess Gu, but both were badly wounded. They eventually escaped, but Gu Tianxiong fell into a coma. Princess Gu was pregnant, which made it even harder for her to move. That's when Jiang Wenqing and his mother stumbled upon them. At first, Jiang Wenqing wanted to steer clear. After all, they looked like they were being hunted. Getting involved could be dangerous, but finally, Jiang Chen's mother saw that the princess was pregnant and convinced Jiang Wenqing to help. They rescued Gu Tianxiong and Princess Gu. Jiang Chen learned that his mother came from an old family of doctors, but they had been around for so long that most of their knowledge was lost, which is why the Su family didn't amount to much. Finally, his mother nursed Gu Tianxiong and his wife back to health. Because of this, Jiang Wenqing and Gu Tianxiong became friends. Before Jiang Chen was born, Jiang Wenqing and Gu Tianxiong made a drunken vow: if they both had sons, they would become brothers. If they had one of each, then they would get married. Basically, a couple of guys got drunk and arranged a marriage for Jiang Chen. Soon after, Jiang Wenqing learned Gu Tianxiong's real identity. He was shocked. He had rescued a prince. Later, the two families visited each other often, and Gu Tianxiong didn't look down on Jiang Wenqing because of his status. During this time, Jiang Wenqing was also given a lot of training resources, but Jiang Wenqing knew that the gap in status between himself and Gu Tianxiong was too big. Continuing to see them would cause him problems. The Jiang family was strong in Kamikaze City, but they were nothing compared to the real big families. Gu Tianxiong understood this, so, he quietly accepted Jiang Wenqing's decision to distance himself. Gu Tianxiong knew his strength could intimidate many, but he'd made enemies over the years. He couldn't protect the Jiang family forever, so less contact was the best way. Also, after learning Gu Tianxiong's true identity, Jiang Wenqing ignored the so-called engagement. After all, there was a huge difference in status, and both of them were drunk at the time, so he just thought of it as words in the wind, no need to take it seriously. But he glanced at Gu Xiyao up ahead. A helpless smile crossed Jiang Wenqing's face. He said quietly, "I thought Prince Gu would see that agreement as a joke like me. But now Princess Xiyao is here. It seems Prince Gu hasn't forgotten about it. I don't know why Princess Xiyao is here this time. I hope you're ready." Jiang Wenqing stared at Jiang Chen. Jiang Chen looked confused. After a moment, Jiang Chen said, "So, Princess Xiyao is my fiancée?" Jiang Wenqing, "You could say that." Nearby, Jiang Daoxin and Jiang Yu listened intently. Jiang Daoxin sighed. Jiang Daoxin, no wonder the little princess zeroed in on second brother as soon as she showed up. It turns out she's going to be my sister-in-law. Before she could finish, Jiang Daoxin suddenly remembered Gu Xiao's attitude. She couldn't help but mumble, "Isn't she going to be like Yun Shishua, coming to break off the engagement?" Knowing she'd said the wrong thing, she quickly covered her mouth, her eyes darting between Jiang Yu and Jiang Chen. Jiang Yu didn't react at all, his expression was indifferent, and he didn't seem to blame her. Jiang Wenqing nodded slightly. He looked at Jiang Chen. She said softly, "That's what I wanted to say. So Chener, you must be ready. After all, she's the prince's daughter, and she might have to wrong you." Seeing his father's serious expression, Jiang Chen looked indifferent. He said calmly, "It's no big deal. Don't worry, Dad. I'll play along." Jiang Wenqing was confused by Jiang Chen's relaxed attitude. He thought Jiang Chen would be angry, but now, he didn't seem upset at all. In fact, he seemed happy. Yes, Jiang Wenqing was sure he was pleased. Jiang Chen was happy. When his father said that this was his fiancée, he was worried about how to deal with it. He and Gu Xiao had never met, so he didn't like the sudden appearance of a fiancée. Even though Gu Xiao was beautiful, that didn't change Jiang Chen's decision. There was another beauty waiting for Jiang Chen. Jiang Chen touched the jade pendant around his waist. A smile appeared on his face. "Mingyue, wait for me." The old man in black robe looked at Gu Xiao. He said softly, "Princess, do you want to talk to Jiang Chen yourself, or do you want me to do it for you?" Gu Xiao turned to look at Jiang Chen, staring at his handsome face. She thought back to what she'd seen during the test. There was a hint of hesitation in her eyes. Chapter 43 Confused Princess Xiyao. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Gu Xiao thought it over. "Uncle Zhou," he said softly, "no rush. We've got 3 days. Plenty of time to figure things out." The old guy in black was named Zhou Tong, and he was Gu Tianxiong's right-hand man. Zhou Tong's wrinkled face showed surprise at Gu Xiao's response. After all, if Gu Xiao hadn't been so eager to call off the engagement, they wouldn't even be here today. Gu Xiao could have just asked Prince Gu and reported directly to the sect if she wanted to join, but now, they'd gone through this whole song and dance, traveled all the way to Kamikaze City, and suddenly Gu Xiao was having second thoughts. Jiang Chen's performance had been impressive. Even Zhou Tong had been surprised. Du Qingfeng had a point, though, without a strong constitution, even a stellar performance in physical training wouldn't last. They'd eventually be outpaced by those with natural physical gifts. That's why Du Qingfeng was so keen on helping Yun Shishua target the Jiang family, even to the point of going up against Chen Hongchuan. Even though he was puzzled, Zhou Tong kept his mouth shut. This was Gu Xiao's decision to make. Jiang Wenkang led the group back to the Jiang residence. Gu Xiao hung back, glancing at Jiang Chen, but not saying anything. Once inside, Jiang Wenqing approached Jiang Chen. After a look at Gu Xiao, who was standing a short distance away, he said, "Everything's taken care of here. Princess Xiyao just arrived, so why don't you show her around the Jiang family? We'll handle the rest." Jiang Wenqing produced a small storage bag. He handed it to Jiang Chen. "Here's some spirit stones. If you get bored at home, you can go out and explore. Then, Jiang Wenqing headed for the reception hall. Zhou Tong nodded to Gu Xiao, and then followed Jiang Wenqing inside. Everyone seemed to be clearing out. Jiang Yu subtly signaled to Jiang Daoxin. Seeing the queue, Jiang Daoxin quickly said, "Second brother, my brother and I are gonna head out. We'll catch up with you later." Jiang Daoxin moved towards Jiang Yu. Jiang Yu patted Jiang Daoxin's shoulder. The two turned and left. Once they were a good distance away, Jiang Chen turned to Gu Xiao, unsure of what to say. They just stared at each other. After a moment of silence, Jiang Chen broke the ice. "You must be exhausted from traveling all day. Let me take you to your room. We can go out and have some fun tomorrow." At that moment, Jiang Chen just wanted to get her settled so he could crash, but Gu Xiao frowned, looking a bit annoyed. She looked straight at Jiang Chen. "If I'm not mistaken, Uncle Jiang must have told you everything that happened." Jiang Chen, "Yep, he did." Gu Xiao, "So what are you thinking?" "I'm your fiancé." After hesitating a moment, Gu Xiao took the plunge. Seeing Gu Xiao's expression, a faint smile played on Jiang Chen's lips. He joked, "What am I thinking? Marrying you, of course, and hitting the jackpot, living the high life from here on out." Jiang Chen understood the assignment. He needed to play up the spoiled brat act if he wanted to end this engagement. He needed to make a bad first impression on Gu Xiao so she'd want to break things off. Sure enough, as soon as Jiang Chen said that, Gu Xiao frowned. She said softly, "You're so young and full of potential, why would you want to live off me?" "Did I ever say I'd marry you?" Jiang Chen, "Oh. So what's your take on this, princess?" Jiang Chen's eyes showed a hint of anticipation. Gu Xiao snorted. "To be honest, I came to the Jiang family to break off our engagement." Gu Xiao stared directly at Jiang Chen. She expected him to look crestfallen and beg her not to end things, but to Gu Xiao's shock, Jiang Chen looked calm. They just stared at each other. After a pause, Jiang Chen said, "Okay, I'm in. Don't worry, I'll explain everything to my father. He shouldn't have any objections." Gu Xiao was dumbfounded. "Gu Xiao, you agreed?" "Just like that." Jiang Chen, "Yep, I agree." Gu Xiao stammered, "I don't, me." Jiang Chen's response left Gu Xiao speechless. She felt like a failure. He'd agreed without a moment's hesitation, leaving her frustrated. Damn it, what's this guy's deal? I'm a catch, and he's already engaged to me. He should be jumping at the chance, but he's just giving it up. The thought of that made Gu Xiao furious. This was the first time she'd been at a loss for words. Seeing Gu Xiao's silence, Jiang Chen spoke again. "Princess Xiao, if there's nothing else, let me show you to your room." Gu Xiao, "No, I don't need to see any room. It's still early. I don't want to stay in a boring old room. Take me for a walk." Gu Xiao looked directly at Jiang Chen. Jiang Chen looked confused. He couldn't understand why Gu Xiao was suddenly so angry. It looked like she was angry. Jiang Chen had to admit it. Gu Xiao was gorgeous, even when she was fuming. After calming down, Jiang Chen said softly, "Okay, fine." Seeing Jiang Chen's reluctance, Gu Xiao gritted her teeth, ready to explode. "Ugh." Gu Xiao composed herself, then she turned and walked out of the house. Seeing this, Jiang Chen followed Gu Xiao. Chapter 44 Lantern Festival. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Not a moment later, they both stepped out of the Jiang mansion. Though dusk was settling, the streets bustled with people, lanterns casting a warm glow. The lively scene lifted Gu Xiao's spirits. She glanced back at the stalls they'd browsed, realizing it hadn't even been 15 minutes. Yet, her hands were already full. Of course, she'd only bought trinkets, nothing worth more than a few spiritual stones. Jiang Chen simply paid for everything she picked out. After strolling down the long street, they arrived at an even more vibrant area. A growing crowd had gathered. Gu Xiao's eyes widened with surprise and curiosity as she gazed at the lanterns overhead, a sense of wonder in her expression. After a moment's reflection, she turned to Jiang Chen. "Is Kamikaze City always this lively at night?" she asked. Jiang Chen shook his head. "Not usually. It's so busy because of the Lantern Festival, which happens every year around this time and lasts for 2 days. Lantern Festival? Xiyao looked around at the various lanterns, a glimmer of understanding dawning in her eyes. So, besides lantern viewing, are there other activities planned for the Lantern Festival? Jiang Chen paused, considering. Well, it's not just about the lanterns. A lot of talented folks gather at Moon Reflection Lake to share poems and ideas. Sharing poems and composing verses? Xiao's curiosity was piqued. As the daughter of an ancient prince, she was skilled in music, chess, calligraphy, and painting. The idea of a gathering centered around poetry intrigued her. Then let's head over to Moon Reflection Lake, she said. It's still early, and I'd like to see what kind of talent is on display. Okay, let's check it out, Jiang Chen replied. He turned and began walking south. Xiao quickly followed, and they passed through a narrow alley, emerging at the edge of a vast lake. The banks teemed with people, as lively as the square they had just left, adding to the spectacle. Boats dotted the lake's surface. A massive, ornate pleasure barge was anchored in the center, with smaller boats heading toward it. Most of the men aboard were dressed in white robes, their long hair pulled back with a hair crown, and a folding fan in hand, a classic scholar's attire. Xiao was impressed by the sight of the floating lanterns and the grand barge. Seeing her reaction, Jiang Chen suggested, let's get a boat. It's not much fun just watching from here. Good idea, Xiao agreed. They headed toward the boat rentals. The area was relatively quiet. As soon as Jiang Chen and Xiao arrived, a middle-aged man approached them. Hello, he said with a smile. My name is Wang Gang. I work here. How can I help you? Wang Gang, we'd like to rent a small boat to go on the lake. How many spiritual stones will that cost? Xiao asked. Wang Gang looked puzzled. Is this your first time here? Yes. Why? That explains it. This place is mainly a gathering spot for scholars and artists. We don't charge a fee, but to rent a boat, you need to have a poem reviewed. He continued, only if our chief approves it and deems your literary skills sufficient, can we let you have a boat. Xiao turned to Jiang Chen. Jiang Chen gave her an awkward smile. This is my first time here too. I didn't realize there was such a rule. Why don't you show them what you've got? Xiao stared at him, speechless. Your second young master Jiang. Just as Xiao was about to ask for pen and paper, a surprised voice rang out from behind Wang Gang. A group of slender men rushed forward, looking at Jiang Chen with admiration. It's me. What's wrong? Jiang Chen asked. The skinny man's smile widened. Greetings, Mr. Jiang. I'm Li Sanchun. Mr. Gang here is new and unfamiliar with our customs, so I hope you'll forgive him. Li Sanchun turned to Wang Gang. Gongzi, hurry up and prepare a boat for second young master Jiang and his guest. I'll take over here. Wang Gang hesitated. Brother Sanchun, I told you, they need to present a poem. Doesn't this break the rules? Li Sanchuan's expression darkened. Just do as I say. Where do you get all this nonsense? You've always loved Xuanhuan too, haven't you? Mr. Jiang wrote that piece. Do you still have any questions? What? He wrote Xuanhuan too. This, Wang Gang suddenly remembered what Li Sanchun had called Jiang Chen. He realized who he was talking to. He hurriedly said, Master Jiang, please forgive my ignorance. I didn't recognize you. I'll prepare a boat for you right away. Please wait a moment. Wang Gang quickly scurried off, his eyes full of admiration as he looked at Jiang Chen. Xiao was surprised. She had investigated Jiang Chen before coming to Kamikaze City. According to the information she found, Jiang Chen was a useless playboy, a wastrel with no redeeming qualities. His cultivation was low, and he spent his days indulging in debauchery. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to call him trash, but since arriving in Kamikaze City, Jiang Chen had shown off his 8th-level body forging strength, which had surprised Xiao. Now, judging by the conversation between these two men, Jiang Chen seemed to be a highly accomplished literary figure. Otherwise, they wouldn't be so impressed. Suddenly, a thought struck Xiyao, could it be that news of my arrival in Kamikaze City was leaked in advance, and Jiang Chen specially arranged this little show to impress me? The more she considered it, the more plausible it seemed. That must be it. I'll expose his true colors today. The thought of Jiang Chen readily agreeing to break off their engagement fueled her anger. She turned her attention to Li Sanchun. You mentioned that he wrote a piece called Water Melody Song too, and it's supposed to be very good? Could I take a look at it too? She asked in a clear voice. Xiyao expected Li Sanchun to refuse. After all, if this was just an act, any poem they produced would likely be mediocre. Exposing the ruse, however, to her surprise, Li Sanchun seemed thrilled that she wanted to read Xuanhuan too. He eagerly pulled out a piece of paper and quickly handed it to Xiyao. Chapter 45 Water Moon Fairy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Taking the paper from Li Sanchun, Xiyao glanced at it casually, but her expression quickly shifted to one of surprise. She read aloud, "When will the bright moon appear? I raise my cup and ask the heavens. I don't know what season it would be in heaven tonight. I'd like to ride the wind to return." Then paused. "It's cold up there. Such perfection has always been hard to find. I only wish that we live long, and though 1,000 miles apart, share the beauty of the moon together." Seeing the look on her face, Li Sanchun added, "Mr. Jiang wrote that specifically for Miss Mingyue. He only had a few lines at first." Fairy Xuanhuan asked Miss Xuanhuan for the complete version of Xuanhuan too. Li Sanchun glanced at Jiang Chen with admiration. Jiang Chen nodded slightly. Fairy Xuanhuan wasn't from Xuanhuan City, but she visited Mingyue Lake every lantern festival. She chartered the boat on the lake. Talented men flocked here hoping to pass her test and board her boat, wanting to enjoy the scenery with her. Moreover, because Fairy Xuanhuan was also a musician, she and Xuanhuan Mingyue became friends after a few visits. That's how she got the complete poem, Miss Mingyue, huh? Xiao's curiosity was piqued. "Who is this Miss Mingyue?" she asked. Li Sanchun replied, "Miss Mingyue is known as the most beautiful woman in Xuanhuan City, though no one has ever seen her face. But she has a proud spirit and soul-stirring eyes that captivate everyone. But Jiang Xiao probably knows her best, since he's the only one who spends time alone with her. And, Jiang Xiao is courting her." Ahem, Jiang Chen coughed, cutting him off. Li Sanchun immediately clammed up. Xiyao turned to Jiang Chen. "What is it? Is there something you don't want me to know?" "No, I was just pointing out that the boat's ready," Jiang Chen said. Xiyao looked back and saw Wang Gang had indeed prepared the boat. Li Sanchun, meanwhile, was deep in thought. Looking at Xiao's face, he felt like he recognized her from somewhere. Then it hit him, a cold sweat broke out on his forehead. He stepped forward. "Mr. Jiang, Princess Xiyao, the Lantern Festival is underway. You should board the boat," he said respectfully, then lowered his head quickly. Xiao glanced at him, unsurprised that he recognized her. After a moment's pause, she turned her gaze back to Jiang Chen. "Let's go. Let's go take a look," she said calmly, and headed toward the boat. Jiang Chen followed. "Phew," Li Sanchun breathed, relieved, once they were gone. Tap, tap. Wang Gang rushed over. "Third brother, who's the knockout with Jiang Xiao? I don't think I've ever seen her in Xuanhuan City, right?" Wang Gang had never seen Xuanhuan Mingyue, but he had seen Yin Shixue. While Yin Shixue was pretty, seeing Xiao made him think Yin Shixue was nothing special. "Shoo!" Li Sanchun hissed, motioning for silence. "Shut up. That's Princess Xiyao. You can't just talk about her like that. Don't drag me down with you." He whispered. Wang Gang gasped, "Princess Xiyao," that he quickly shut his mouth. Li Sanchun said, "Okay, just do your job and act like nothing happened." "Okay. Okay." They both hurried back towards the attic. After they boarded the boat, Jiang Chen picked up the oars. Splash. The oars dipped into the water, the waves rippled, water lanterns floated by, the reflections in the lake created a stunning scene. As the boat moved forward, they got closer to the building ship, more boats surrounded it, but they kept their distance. They all looked thoughtful. Jiang Chen and his companion quickly drew attention. Not everyone was from Xuanhuan City. Many didn't recognize Jiang Chen. Seeing his extravagant robe, they sneered. "Who's that? Showing up dressed like that? He clearly doesn't know the rules." "Ha! What's so strange?" Every year, some rich kids come to town when they hear about this, hoping to catch a glimpse of fairy Xuanhuan. Humph, they're wasting their time. Without real talent, no matter how rich they are, they won't get on the ship. Many people noticed Xiyao. They were surprised, but before they could say hello, someone recognized them. He announced, "It's second young Master Jiang and Princess Xiyao. I didn't expect to see them here together. It seems the Jiang family and Prince Gu are close." "Ha!" Everyone's expression changed. Those about to greet Xiyao stopped. Jiang Chen had been the top performer in the recent sect assessment, so everyone in Xuanhuan City knew him, and Xiyao was the prince's daughter, and a talented cultivator. Wherever she went, she caused a stir. Even knowing Jiang Chen's identity, many people still felt jealous seeing him in the same boat as Xiyao. "Having some talent for cultivation isn't everything," one grumbled. "This is a place for poetry, not cultivation talent." "That's right. Whoever comes here has to follow the rules. He's probably just trying to get attention." Some weren't from the city. Their families were just as powerful as the Jiang family, so they didn't hold back as much. They wouldn't dare offend Xiyao, but they could knock Jiang Chen down a peg. Chapter 46 Jiang Chen writes poetry. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Listening to the chatter around him, Jiang Chen barely had time to react before someone jumped in to defend him. A guy in a green shirt turned to the crowd and said, "Hey, you're just showing your ignorance. Jiang's got the talent to write stuff like Shui Jiao Gu too, so who are you to judge him?" "Exactly. You can't just waltz into Kamikaze City acting all high and mighty. Think nobody can put you in your place." The people sticking up for Jiang Chen were mostly local writers from Kamikaze City. They weren't thrilled with Jiang Chen's past behavior, but after Shui Jiao Gu 2 came out, their opinion of him improved a lot. Besides, these local writers were tired of being overshadowed by outsiders. Now that Jiang Chen was in the mix, they were happy to back one of their own. Hearing the locals' defense, the outsiders just sneered. "Ha! Just because we don't come around often doesn't mean we don't know about Jiang. I'm pretty sure we all know his reputation. You really think this spoiled kid, who's normally clueless, suddenly penned that kind of poem?" "Huh, you're right. I bet he just copied Shui Jiao Gu 2. No way he actually wrote it." That got the guy in the green shirt fired up. "That's garbage. If someone else wrote those lines, they would have been famous long ago. Why would Jiang Chen just be showing them off now? You guys from Jiang City just love to see the worst in people, don't you?" "You." The guy who'd been talking lost his cool. Suddenly, Jiang Chen was the odd man out, watching everyone argue. The Jiang City folks didn't have a good comeback. After all, the guy in green had a point. Writers want fame. If someone had really written something that good, they'd be bragging about it. They wouldn't keep it a secret. So, there was a good chance Jiang Chen actually wrote the poem. But they still couldn't admit it, not without losing face. The guy thought for a second, then his eyes lit up. He turned to Jiang Chen and said loudly, "All right, hotshot, prove it. Everyone's trying to write a poem that impresses fairy Xuanhuan, but nobody succeeded yet. So, why don't you, Jiang, whip up something right now and show us your skills? If the poem's good enough, Yi Feng, will apologize publicly. But if it's a flop, you just have to admit in front of everyone that you're a loser." Yi Feng looked straight at Jiang Chen, a smug smile on his face. He figured Jiang Chen got lucky with that last poem. No way he could do it again. Everyone else turned to Jiang Chen, waiting to see what he'd do. On the boat, a woman sat by the window, watching Jiang Chen and the others with curiosity. Is that the guy Mingyue likes? Let's see what's so special about him, she whispered, then turned to her maid. Xiao, go give Mr. Jiang a message. Tell him the theme, too. Yes, Mississippi. Xiao hurried off. A moment later, Xiao reached the edge of the ship. Mr. Jiang, she said clearly, my mistress has heard a lot about you and wants to see your writing. Would you do her the honor? It's Xiao. She's Fairy Xueyue's personal maid. Looks like Fairy Xueyue is interested. Yifeng's smile widened. Jiang, Fairy Xueyue's calling you out. If you're too scared, just admit you're a loser, and I'll drop it. Jiang Chen ignored Yifeng and turned to Xiao. Since Fairy Xueyue asked, I'll do it. Miss Xiao, what's the theme? Yifeng and the others were stunned. He agreed. The nerve. Gu Xiao just watched Jiang Chen, surprised. She hadn't expected him to accept the challenge. Xiao said softly, on a beautiful day like this, drinking and having fun is a joy. But we can only relax because soldiers are guarding the border. So, today's theme should be about both wine and those brave defenders. Everyone started thinking hard, frowning. Even Gu Xiao looked stumped. Writing about just one of those things would be easier, but linking them together made it much harder. The guy in the green shirt shook his head. Tough, too tough, he muttered. Yifeng and the others grinned, ready to watch Jiang Chen fail, but Jiang Chen was happy. He didn't know how to write poetry himself, but he'd memorized tons of poems. He finally realized that studying hard had its perks. Ignoring Yifeng's mocking glances, Jiang Chen stood tall, his hands clasped behind his back. He lifted his chin slightly, and his dark hair fluttered in the breeze. Then, he spoke loudly, wine in a jade cup, I'm urged to drink right away. Don't laugh if I fall asleep drunk on the battlefield. How many soldiers ever come home from war? 2 songs of Liangzhou, one by Wang Han. Everyone's minds were blown. They were completely shocked. Gu Xiao's eyes widened, showing her disbelief. Yifeng stammered, no, impossible. But before he could finish, Jiang Chen's voice rang out again, drunk in the lamplight, I gaze at my sword, dreaming of blowing the horn in the camp. My horse is as fast as Lu, and my bow as loud as thunder. These words were by Xian Qiji. Silence. The scene fell silent. Everyone was speechless. Fairy Xueyue jumped up from her seat, her eyes wide with shock. If anyone knew her, they'd be amazed. Fairy Xueyue was usually so composed. Jiang Chen had really stunned her. Chapter 47 Hidden Danger. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After the initial shock wore off, everyone quietly stared at Jiang Chen, speechless. Yifeng staggered backward, a look of horror on his face. Impossible. This can't be happening. That if Jiang Chen had just written 1 poem, Yifeng might have argued. But 2 poems, both breathtaking in their artistry. Now, not even Yifeng's thick skin could allow him to blatantly lie. Too many people were watching, and the Yi family couldn't afford the embarrassment. Yifeng knew that if he didn't handle this right, the whole city would be talking about it tomorrow, damaging his standing in the family. Jiang Yu city wasn't united, and the internal power struggles within the Yi family meant rivals would seize this opportunity. A determined look entered Yifeng's eyes. Calming himself, he said in a low voice, Mr. Jiang, my behavior earlier was out of line. I hope you can forgive me. He then gave a slight bow. Jiang Chen was surprised by Yifeng's attitude. The guy could at least take a loss gracefully. The others came to their senses, all eyes on the scene. The local scholars of Kamikaze City were practically giddy. The man in the green shirt glanced at the Jiang Yu City group. Cat got your tongues. You were so loud before. The Jiang Yu City scholars avoided eye contact, feigning deafness. To speak up now would be utter humiliation. The Kamikaze City scholars were ecstatic, as if they'd personally won. Gu Xiao carefully considered the 2 poems, a strange expression on her face, a hint of hesitation creeping into her thoughts. Just then, footsteps drew everyone's attention. A woman in a white dress slowly emerged from the boat. She had a perfectly oval face, and her eyes sparkled like stars. Her cherry-red mouth was captivating. Even in the dim light, her pale skin was striking. It was Fairy Xueyue, the star of the night. Even Gu Xiyao was taken aback by Fairy Xueyue's beauty. But when she looked at Jiang Chen, she was surprised. Everyone else was practically drooling, their eyes full of desire for Fairy Xueyue. But Jiang Chen remained unchanged, as if she were just an ordinary person. His expression was utterly calm. Gu Xiao's satisfaction grew. The crowd was completely entranced, staring at Fairy Xueyue with adoration. While Gu Xiao was equally beautiful, her status kept people from showing any disrespect. After a brief silence, Fairy Xueyue spoke softly, "Young Master Jiang's talent is clear. His poems are like fine wine in a luminous cup. It's a shame to be drinking alone. It's a good thing to be successful in the world and win fame in life, but misfortune happened in vain." Fairy Xueyue sighed, her gaze fixed on Jiang Chen. There was an unreadable expression in her eyes. No wonder Sister Mingyue seems love-struck. A man who can compose such poems is truly captivating. Suppressing her inner thoughts, Fairy Xueyue continued, "Master Jiang, would you join me on the boat? I've prepared tea." The crowd erupted with excitement. "Oh my God," Fairy Xueyue invited Jiang Chen. "Does this mean we have no chance? I've been waiting for this opportunity. I thought I could finally talk to Fairy Xueyue about life, but Jiang Chen shows up. What a letdown. There's nothing we can do. After those 2 poems, no one here can compete." Fairy Xueyue inviting Jiang Chen was inevitable. Everyone turned to Jiang Chen, curious about his decision, especially with Princess Xiyao present. Jiang Chen suddenly felt a faint killing intent, as if someone was watching him. His heart tightened, and he scanned the area, but the killing intent vanished as quickly as it came. He couldn't sense the source. What's going on? Could the 3 major families be impatient and want to make a move? But something felt off. Princess Xiyao was right there. The families wouldn't risk acting now. Besides, the killing intent was cold, dangerous, and didn't feel like it came from any of the families. After a moment of thought, Jiang Chen understood. He couldn't stay here. He needed to get back to the Jiang family as soon as possible. He looked at Fairy Xueyue. "Thank you for your kindness, Fairy, but I suddenly remembered urgent matters at home. I won't bother you further. I'll personally apologize next time." Without waiting for a response, Jiang Chen steered his boat toward the shore, quickly distancing himself. Fairy Xueyue was caught off guard by his decisiveness. The others were equally stunned. Did he just reject her like that? Yeah, no hesitation. Mr. Jiang is a role model. So aloof. Immediately, their disappointment turned to excitement. With Jiang Chen gone, their chance had returned. Fairy Xueyue recovered, her gaze fixed on the spot where Jiang Chen had disappeared. Her curiosity piqued. "Since the top spot has been decided, I won't pose any more challenges. However, to thank you all for coming, I will play a song. I hope you enjoy it." The crowd wore a mask of deep regret, but as soon as she said those words, the atmosphere lifted. Smiles returned, and anticipation filled the air. Chapter 48 Secret Door, Alley Blocked. You are listening at novelfull.audio. On the other side, Jiang Chen and Gu Xiao were back on shore. Gu Xiao looked at Jiang Chen's serious expression, her eyes full of confusion. "What's wrong? Why did we leave so suddenly?" she asked. Jiang Chen replied, "Nothing. It's getting late. Let's head back." Seeing that Jiang Chen didn't want to elaborate, Gu Xiao, though a little annoyed, dropped the subject. They retraced their steps. Soon after they left, the calm lake rippled. A man in black emerged from the water, a hint of doubt in his eyes. Why did he leave so suddenly? He rasped. Did he really sense me? Just then, a piano melody drifted from the direction of the ship. The man in black paused, then hurried after Jiang Chen and Gu Xiyao, tap, 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 walking along the path. Jiang Chen was silent. Gu Xiyao sensed the tension in the air and picked up her pace. Suddenly, Jiang Chen stopped, bang. Gu Xiyao, walking too fast, bumped into his back. You. She started to complain, but seeing his solemn face, she held back. Jiang Chen stared ahead. Who's there? Come out, he said coldly. Gu Xiyao seemed to realize something. Her face grew serious. Tap, tap, tap. After a moment of silence, heavy footsteps approached. Jiang Chen saw a man cloaked in black, a black ghost mask obscuring his face, exuding a chilling aura. Sensing the man's power at the peak of the divine sea realm, Jiang Chen's face turned grim. The black-robed man stopped in front of them, glancing at Gu Xiyao before focusing on Jiang Chen. Boy, you sensed me. I'm curious, how did you find me? He asked, his voice deep. His concealment technique was so advanced it could fool even those in the creation realm. How could a body-forging realm cultivator detect him? This piqued his interest. Gu Xiyao, recognizing the black-robed man's attire, spoke coldly, another one from the shadow sect? Aren't you guys afraid of my father's revenge? You never learn. Jiang Chen now understood. The black-robed man was after Gu Xiyao, and judging by her words, this wasn't their first encounter. Ha ha ha. The black-robed man laughed mirthlessly at Gu Xiao's threat. Little princess, threats are useless. We're just doing a job for pay. We can handle the consequences you mentioned. He turned his gaze to Jiang Chen again. Boy, answer my question honestly, and I might let you live. As he spoke, his aura intensified, and the temperature dropped noticeably. Gu Xiyao looked worried. A powerhouse at the peak of the divine sea realm was too much for her to handle right now. Gritting her teeth, she turned to Jiang Chen. He's after me. Find a chance to escape, she said in a low voice. As she spoke, her aura began to rise, her strength quickly reaching the first level of the Sea of Gods. Jiang Chen wasn't surprised. He had long suspected she was hiding her true strength. The black-robed man, seeing this, didn't want to delay any longer. He rushed toward Gu Xiyao, a black dagger appearing in his hand. Gu Xiyao flicked her wrist. A green longsword materialized in her hand. She raised the sword and charged forward, shouting, Go! She knew that the black-robed man had locked onto her aura. Running now would be suicide. She had to try to fight back. She quickly clashed with the black-robed man. Boom! The weapons collided. Gu Xiyao grunted, blood trickling from the corner of her mouth as she was knocked backward. The man in black pressed his advantage, his murderous intent intensifying. He pursued Gu Xiyao relentlessly, determined to kill her quickly. Seeing him approach, Gu Xiyao closed her eyes in despair. Just then, she heard a whooshing sound. Instead of pain, she felt herself being caught. Opening her eyes, she saw that Jiang Chen had caught her, and the strength he was now exuding, it was actually at the third level of the divine sea realm. Boom! To Gu Xiao's shock, Jiang Chen punched the dagger in the black-robed man's hand. With a loud crash, Jiang Chen was thrown backward, but Gu Xiao's eyes narrowed. Jiang Chen's fist had collided with the dagger, but the dagger hadn't broken. Only a white mark remained on Jiang Chen's fist. Jiang Chen, your strength. Gu Xiao stammered. On the other side, the black-robed man's eyes narrowed in surprise. Jiang Chen ignored Gu Xiao's question. He quickly channeled the energy in his body. He calmed his chaotic aura. He landed smoothly on the ground and casually put Gu Xiao down. The man in black stopped across from Jiang Chen. I didn't expect such a genius to appear in a backwater town like Kamikaze City, he said darkly. You must be hiding something. His eyes gleamed with greed. He lunged at Jiang Chen as Jiang Chen rapidly circulated the chaos creation technique. The blood in his body surged. With a roar, he charged forward to meet the man in black. Gu Xiao looked anxious, but before she could speak, Jiang Chen engaged the man in black. Chapter 49, The Power of Double Pupils, The Light of Destruction. You are listening at novelfull.audio. With the chaos creation technique kicking in, Jiang Chen's physical strength skyrocketed. Combined with the 9 cyclones raging within him, he ditched any weapons. He went toe-to-toe with the black-robed figure, fists flying. Gu Xiao just stared, stunned by the sight of Jiang Chen, his black hair whipping around, her eyes widened in disbelief. No way, she thought. He's only at the 3rd level of the Divine Sea realm, yet he's actually holding his own against someone at the 9th level, and that wasn't all. She realized Jiang Chen's reactions were insane, like he could predict the guy's every move. The truth was, it all came down to his recent epiphany, that intense, immersive battle he'd experienced, the extra combat knowledge flooding his mind. It had aged him years in an instant. And as he continued to process it all, his ability to react in a fight had become downright scary. Meanwhile, the black-robed figure was starting to sweat. The young punk in front of him might only be at the 3rd level of the Divine Sea realm, but the sheer depth of his true energy was giving him serious pause. Even though he was technically the stronger one, it felt like a real grind. Damn it, the black-robed figure cursed silently. What kind of freak is this kid? How can he be this strong at the 3rd level? Boom, 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 As time ticked by, the black-robed figure's expression grew darker and darker. He was down about 30% of his true energy, but Jiang Chen still going strong, his energy levels showing no sign of dropping. That's when the black-robed figure started to panic, a flicker of retreat in his eyes. He'd already wasted too much time. Killing Gu Xiao was off the table. If he hung around any longer, he might end up getting killed himself. Decision made. Thwack. After another exchange, the black-robed figure used the recoil to create some distance between himself and Jiang Chen. He sucked in a lungful of air, glaring at Jiang Chen. Kid, he hissed, anyone who messes with the secret door will pay for it. When I report this, your family will be hunted down relentlessly. You'll live the rest of your life regretting this. Ha ha ha, he let out a chilling laugh. What was that? Hearing this, Jiang Chen was consumed by a murderous rage. The guy was threatening his family. That was a line he couldn't cross. You've got a death wish, crack, crack, As Jiang Chen spoke, the air around him crackled, and fissures appeared on the ground. Gu Xiao felt the shift in the atmosphere and struggled to breathe. The black-robed figure knew something was very wrong. The hairs on the back of his neck stood up, and a primal fear gripped him. Then he saw it. Jiang Chen's eyes, constantly shifting, his pupils were starting to merge. What is that? The sight of Jiang Chen's swirling black eyes sent a jolt of pure terror through him. He spun around and bolted for the exit. Jiang Chen watched him go, his eyes narrowing. The oppressive aura around him intensified. Cough. Under the weight of that force, Gu Xiao stumbled backward, coughing. Swish. When Jiang Chen opened his eyes, the terrifying pressure instantly vanished. Then, he uttered 4 words. World-destroying divine light, boom, As the words left Jiang Chen's lips, a deafening roar echoed in Gu Xiao's mind. In a blur, she saw a terrifying black light erupt from Jiang Chen's eyes, hurtling toward the black-robed figure with impossible speed. The moment that light appeared, everything seemed to fall silent. Her ears rang. The sky overhead was instantly stained a dark, inky black, swish, As quickly as it had come, the darkness lifted. When the light returned, the black-robed figure was gone. Jiang Chen stood silently, a few feet away. Thump, thump, thump. Gu Xiao could hear her own heart pounding in her chest. The scene she just witnessed had left her utterly shaken. Cough. Jiang Chen coughed, his body swaying. Gu Xiao rushed to his side, grabbing his arm to support him. His eyes were tightly shut, his whole body trembling. Are you okay? She asked. Jiang Chen shook his head weakly, his voice was raspy. I'm fine, just a little backlash. We can't stay here. I need to get back to the Jiang Manor. Okay, I understand. Gu Xiao helped him away. As they walked, she stole glances at him, a strange look in her eyes. Thinking back to how he'd saved her, a blush crept onto her cheeks, and her gaze softened. In just one day, her feelings for Jiang Chen had shifted again and again. Maybe, she thought, having him as her fiancé wasn't so bad after all. She had a million questions buzzing in her head, but she knew now wasn't the time to ask them. She pushed down her curiosity. Meanwhile, Jiang Chen was lost in thought. My physical body is still too weak. I need to build up my strength. or I won't be able to unlock the full potential of the double eyes. If he hadn't pulled back his power when he did, the backlash would have been far worse, but today's fight had shown him his weaknesses, giving him a clear direction for his future training. He now had a deeper understanding of the power of the Chongtong. He'd killed a strongman at the 9th level of the Divine Sea Realm with a single attack. He had high hopes for what the Chongtong could do. As Jiang Manor came into view, Jiang Chen turned to Xiyao. "Princess," he said softly, "can you keep what happened today a secret?" His direct gaze flustered her. She stammered, "Ah, yeah, no problem." Jiang Chen noticed her nervous reaction, a hint of doubt in his eyes, but since she agreed so easily, he let it slide. They quickly entered Jiang Manor. Chapter 50, Gift of Dragon Blood Pill. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After we got back to the mansion, Jiang Chen didn't bother anyone. He just took Xiyao straight to the room that had been prepared for her. "You should get some rest," Jiang Chen said. "If you need anything, just tell the maids outside. I won't keep you." He coughed, then added, "Ahem." Xiyao looked worried. "Are you okay? Should I take you back? You don't seem to be doing too well." Jiang Chen shook his head. "Nah, I'm almost back to normal. Just need to crash for a bit." He turned and headed out the door. Xiyao started to say something, but then just watched him go, closing the door behind him. She told the two little maids outside to go get some rest under the lamplight. Xiyao sat at the desk, brush in hand, and began to write. Her beautiful script flowed onto the page, her expression intense as she worked. Pata, star, she set down the brush, a smile of satisfaction spreading across her face as she looked at what she'd written, the 2 poems Jiang Chen had written at Mingwei Lake. After a moment, she picked up the brush again and, relying on her memory, wrote out Shui Jiao Gu Tu as well, looking at the 3 poems laid out before her, and remembering Jiang Chen saving her, she felt her heart race. Her cheeks flushed. "What's wrong with me?" she wondered. "I'm actually thinking about him. She couldn't bring herself to say it aloud, a wave of shyness washing over her. A hint of panic crept into her heart. She shook her head, trying to regain her composure, and began to focus on healing the injuries she'd sustained. After all, she'd taken a direct hit from that black-robed guy, and it had left her with some hidden damage. Meanwhile, back in his room, Jiang Chen immediately started to meditate. Chaos creation art kicked into high gear, healing his wounds. And then he stumbled upon something unexpected. He'd used the world-destroying divine light, which had completely drained the true chi from his 9 cyclones. But now, some true chi was already starting to gather again. Keep in mind, from the end of the fight until now, Jiang Chen hadn't actively absorbed any true chi. This was a surprise. "System, what's going on?" Ding! The cyclone is different from the dantian. The true chi gathered in the dantian needs to be actively absorbed, but even if the cyclone is not operated manually, it can absorb true chi autonomously all the time. Of course, the speed of autonomous absorption is slow, far less than the speed of active absorption by the host, which is a normal phenomenon. Jiang Chen's eyes lit up, he calmed himself and went into a deep meditative state, actively drawing spiritual energy from the world around him into the 9 cyclones within him. After a while, he stopped. Something had occurred to him, a smile played on his lips. Creak, star. He opened the door and went back out. Knock, 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 star. Xiao's eyes fluttered open. "Who is it?" she asked. "It's me, Jiang Chen." She shot to her feet. A moment later, she was at the door. Creak, star. Opening the door, she saw Jiang Chen standing there. She was surprised. It had only been a short time, but he already looked much better, full of energy. You wouldn't know he had been hurt at all. But then she asked, "What's up? Why are you back? Is something wrong? I brought you something." Jiang Chen pulled out a porcelain bottle from inside his jacket and handed it to her. Her eyes narrowed. She took the bottle, her face showing shock. She studied it carefully, a look of disbelief growing on her face. "Is this a dragon blood pill?" she asked. Yep, Jiang Chen said, that's a dragon blood pill. Jiang Chen wasn't exactly an expert on elixirs, but he wasn't surprised that Xiyao knew what it was. After all, she wasn't just anyone. Xiyao's face was even more shocked after Jiang Chen confirmed it. She carefully opened the bottle and examined the elixir more closely, her expression shifted again. It's a top-grade dragon blood pill, she said, almost whispering. Are you sure you want to give it to me? Jiang Chen looked puzzled. What's wrong? Is it something special? Xiyao was almost speechless. Special doesn't even begin to cover it, she said. Dragon blood pills are a pain to make, and the recipe we have these days isn't even complete. They don't have much potency. But this one is different. It's a grade 4, and it's flawless. A perfect dragon blood pill. You can't put a price on something like this. It's one of a kind. Jiang Chen looked surprised, so that's how precious the elixir his older brother had handed over was, but that was fine by Jiang Chen. The more valuable something was, the bigger the payoff. Oh, Jiang Chen said calmly. I get it. Well, take it. You need it for your injuries. I just told you how valuable it is, and you still want me to have it? She asked. It's just a pill, Jiang Chen said. Don't worry about it. Xiyao felt a wave of emotion wash over her. If he's willing to give me something this precious, is he interested in me? Her cheeks flushed again, her face fell, and she felt awkward. Jiang Chen looked at her, puzzled. Xiyao realized she was losing it and quickly pulled herself together. Thank you, she whispered, then she looked down, unable to meet Jiang Chen's eyes.